Hurricane Ian devastated our food forest. Look at this huge uprooted pine tree. The banana plants were slammed hard. Most of them are knocked over or broken. Downed pine trees and flooding all over. Subscribe and click the notification bell to follow along as we restore our food forest. Oak limbs smothering the undergrowth. An ice cream bean tree almost completely uprooted. Well, there's supposed to be a little starfruit tree right around in here somewhere, but I can't find it. All these weeds have grown so fast since the hurricane, plus everything's matted down. It should literally be right here. I'm pretty sure I saw it recently, but if I do find it, that's one that I'm digging up. I'm not sure where it is anymore. Well, over here somewhere there is a tiny little starfruit tree that I'm going to dig up. Now I can't find it. So I am looking for another guava tree that is supposed to be around here, but I'm not seeing it. That's kind of upsetting too, because I really wanted to have my guava trees saved. I'm not seeing it. Starting at the front gate, you can already see some pine tree branches blocking the driveway. There's my old dog and my old lady there in the distance. We were fortunate that neither we or our home suffered severe damage. The majority of our damage was downed pine trees in the yard and various other trees with broken limbs. There is one large pine tree down in the front yard. A maple tree on the side of the house is pretty tore up, and the oak tree by our well pump is missing a few limbs. There is another downed pine tree on the side of the house. One shed blew away, the other one held on but barely. The shed is gone and its contents are blown all over the yard. The little garden next to the shed is demolished. The greenhouse is destroyed. Rubbish everywhere. The plant nursery is wiped out. The shed left a path of destruction. Shampoo ginger's scientific name is Zingiber zerumbet. It is also known as awapui, awapui kuahiwi, pinecone ginger, bitter ginger, and wild ginger. The most common use of shampoo ginger is as a natural shampoo or conditioner. It has a ginger-like scent and nourishes the hair and scalp. Potential health benefits of shampoo ginger include
strengthens the immune system, contains anti-seizure substances, weight loss, increases appetite, increases metabolism, may prevent the progression of cancer, treats arthritis, treats inflammation, treats asthma, treats diabetes, treats low blood pressure, kills bacterial infections, kills worms and parasites, treats malaria, reduces fever, relieves cough, relieves skin irritation, treats constipation and diarrhea, heals severe sprains, heals boils, reduces flatulence, treats gallstones, prevents ulcers, relieves rash, relieves pain from toothaches and stomach aches. You're probably wondering, what is beautyberry? American beautyberry is a plant that grows wild throughout the southeastern and south central United States. Its scientific name is Cauliflower americana. The berries are a bright purple and are plentiful all summer long here in Zone 9B in Florida. The berries are popular among the local wildlife. They are also edible to humans and often used to make jam. The berries, leaves, and root have been used medicinally. The leaves are oftentimes used as a natural insect repellent against mosquitoes, ticks, and ants. There is ongoing research into these other potential benefits of American beautyberry. Antioxidants, fights inflammation, may repair and prevent lung damage, prevent and treat diabetes, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, anti-cancer potential, brain health, and improving memory. What are the health benefits of American beautyberry? If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to help us get to 1,000 subscribers. The berries, leaves, and roots have been used medicinally. The leaves are commonly used as a natural insect repellent against mosquitoes, ticks, and ants. Native Americans used the root and leaves as a tea in sweat baths for rheumatism, fevers, and malaria. They used root tea for dysentery and stomach aches. Root and berry tea was used for colic. There is ongoing research into the following potential health benefits of beautyberry: antioxidants, fighting inflammation, repairing and preventing lung damage, preventing and treating diabetes, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, anti-cancer potential, brain health, improving memory. Hibiscus radiatus is starting to bloom. It's almost harvest time. We use the flowers to make tea and kombucha. The young leaves are great in a salad. Subscribe and click the notification icon to stay informed about future Hibiscus radiatus videos. Metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart disease have closely related causes and symptoms. Hibiscus may be able to assist with each of these by lowering blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and by reducing inflammation and body fat. More research is needed in these areas. The various antioxidant compounds found in hibiscus can help to detox your liver, have anti-cancer properties, and may enhance the effect of chemotherapy treatments. Hibiscus is known to have antibacterial, antiviral, and antimicrobial properties. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Ruby hibiscus has beautiful flowers. The leaves, flowers, and calyxes are edible and can be used for tea. This is true for most, if not all, of hibiscus species. Ruby hibiscus is my tea of choice for making kombucha. Be warned, wear gloves when harvesting the flowers of this plant. There are tiny hairs on the calyxes and stems that will poke into your skin. It feels like fiberglass splinters and takes a few days for the feeling to go away. I use ruby hibiscus as a pioneer plant for new sections of the food forest. The plant can be used for chop and drop for most of the season, and it will still produce a bounty of flowers to be harvested for tea in the fall, and attracts beneficial insects. My experience is that ruby hibiscus grows as a self-seeding annual even in Zone 9B. It requires 6 or more hours of full sun daily. It's not picky about soil. It does well in clay, loamy, and sandy soils. It will tolerate occasional flooding and standing water. Ruby hibiscus is a great addition to any landscape, food forest, or container garden. Okay, let's make some hibiscus radiatus tea. It's time to harvest the hibiscus radiatus to make tea. Look at all these flowers. The way that I harvest hibiscus radiatus is by taking these spent flowers. They're much easier to get out of the flower pod. A lot of them are just laying around, even way down here on the ground. I'll get a couple hundred of these today. The heat and humidity is getting kind of intense. It's November, but this is Florida. The first harvest of the year for hibiscus radiatus. We got 3 layers for the dehydrator. I'm going to dehydrate this at 110 degrees, 12 hours. Now I can make a cup of tea for the intro to this video. Subscribe and click the notification bell to stay informed about future Roselle hibiscus videos. Watch for a complete video series about Roselle hibiscus coming in the near future. The series will include a detailed plant profile, uses and benefits, harvesting, processing, and drying for tea. We have the footage recorded and are processing the videos now. Subscribe and click the notification bell to stay informed about future Roselle hibiscus videos. Metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart disease have closely related causes and symptoms. Hibiscus may be able to assist with each of these by lowering blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and by reducing inflammation and body fat. The various antioxidant compounds found in hibiscus can help to detox your liver, have anti-cancer properties, and may enhance the effect of chemotherapy treatments. Hibiscus is known to have antibacterial, antiviral, and antimicrobial properties. Hibiscus contains high amounts of vitamin C and additional essential compounds that may boost your immune system. You want to know more about Roselle hibiscus? So watch this video. The scientific name is Hibiscus sabdarifa. Some of the more common names are Roselle hibiscus, Florida cranberry, Jamaican sorrel, and Indian sorrel. In zones 3 through 7, it grows as an annual. In zones 8 through 11, it grows as a perennial. Roselle is a very low maintenance plant. It grows 3 to 6 feet tall. It requires 6 or more hours of full sun. It's not picky about soil, clay, loamy soil, sandy soil, doesn't matter. It prefers well-drained soil. However, it will tolerate wet feet. Leaves, the flowers, roots, seeds, and calyxes are all edible and considered to be a natural remedy throughout the world. Watch the full video linked to in the pinned comment for detailed and complete information. You want to know more about Roselle hibiscus? So watch this video. Stay tuned to the end of the video for 2 special bonuses. The scientific name of Roselle hibiscus is Hibiscus sabdorifa. Metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart disease have closely related causes and symptoms.
That's a pretty good first harvest.
110 degrees. Bonus number 1, click on the card to learn about my personal experience beating high blood pressure using Roselle hibiscus tea. Bonus number 2 is this handy reference card. This flower right here is a butterfly pea flower. It's a small vining plant in my food forest. You can make a very unique tea out of this, so stay tuned for the rest of the video. I'll show you how to make the tea, and I'll show you the unique characteristics of that tea. I'll just harvest these flowers.
This is why this tea is such a big deal. Turns into a beautiful blue color. Do a little stir, get that blue color to come out. And then you add a little bit of lemon juice, just a few drops, and voila, turns purple. If you've ever had a purple cocktail, it's a good chance that butterfly pea was used as a dye.
Okay, let's make some tea. Start with fresh or dried butterfly pea flowers. Add hot water. Stir to bring out the nice blue color. Prepare 2 teacups for the color change. Add secret ingredient number 1 to turn the tea purple. Add secret ingredient number 2 to turn the tea green. Look at those beautiful colors. What is the secret? Check the pinned comment or the video description for a link to the butterfly pea plant profile where I reveal the secret to the color changing butterfly pea tea. Okay, let's make some tea. Start with fresh or dried butterfly pea flowers. Add hot water. Stir to bring out the nice blue color. Prepare 2 teacups for the color change. Add secret ingredient number 1 to turn the tea purple. Add secret ingredient number 2 to turn the tea green. Look at those beautiful colors. What is the secret? Check the pinned comment or the video description for a link to the butterfly pea plant profile where I reveal the secret to the color changing butterfly pea tea.
There's pretty much epic destruction of all the banana plants that we have. Had over 50. I'm not even sure how many are left. A lot of them just broke right off, bent over. I tried to prop some up, but they're not really staying. So the ones that broke off, I just took a machete, cut right off, cut the broken part right off. And you can see here, this is actually all new growth in the last 2 weeks since I cut this off. And a lot of the bananas are doing this. I'll give some more examples of that. Example of how I cut broken banana plant off, and this new growth is coming back, but I don't think it's going to make it, so I'll probably cut it off again down here and see if the center will
Subscribe and click the notification bell to follow along as we restore our food forest. By the time the flag leaf appears, the plant will start to swell. That's a sign that the flower is about to emerge. After the flower is visible, it continues growing. The stalk continues to get longer. The burgundy flower petals get noticeably bumpy. The bumps are the individual flowers inside turning into bananas. The flower petals will begin to peel away from the flower. Tiny bananas reveal themselves from under the flower petals. This process continues. More and more hands of bananas are revealed until the individual flowers no longer look like fully formed bananas. At this point, you'll know how many hands the rack is going to have. The petals will continue to open and fall off while the bananas are growing larger. Banana plants are very, very hard to kill. This is my banana jungle that I started about 9 months ago, and then it was devastated by Hurricane Ian. Many of the banana plants were toppled and just completely destroyed. And then when the tree service came to get rid of the trees that had fallen over, they had to drive directly in this spot. But we've got, it's like 3 little banana plants resurrecting themselves from the corms under the ground. This is number 2 and number 3. Bananas are probably the top food forest plant in Florida. So easy to grow, abundant harvests, a lot of biomass, biomaterial for chop and drop, just an awesome all-around plant. It's almost time to harvest the cranberry hibiscus. More hibiscus tea coming up soon. Metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart disease have closely related causes and symptoms. Hibiscus may be able to assist with each of these by lowering blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and by reducing inflammation and body fat. The various antioxidant compounds found in hibiscus can help to detox your liver, have anti-cancer properties, and may enhance the effect of chemotherapy treatments. Hibiscus is known to have antibacterial, antiviral, and antimicrobial properties. Hibiscus contains high amounts of vitamin C and additional essential compounds that may boost your immune system. I harvest these the way I harvest any other hibiscus flower. I wait until they close up like this, and then I just pull the flower out like that. That's a decent harvest for 15 minutes of work. The sherbet berry, looking beautiful. Got some African potato mint by accident. This might turn into a harvest video. Okay, since I'm getting an unanticipated harvest of African potato mint, figured I would do a quick video. This is the African potato mint. It's a great summer plant in hot environments. Comes up out of the ground in June. This is December, and it's blooming, and it's probably going to die back soon. This is what a really small African potato mint tastes like. The plant itself, it's in the mint family. The leaves aren't really edible. They don't have a mint taste. They make a great ground cover. They get thick really fast. But the main useful benefit from African potato mint is the fact that it makes these little tubers that you eat just like potatoes. So let's see how many more we got in this little spot. Here's a sweet potato. Oh, my back. Okay, accidental harvest. Got a couple sweet potatoes, some African potato mint, and a bean. The Asian winged bean is a highly useful and beneficial food forest plant. Here it is in my food forest growing among Mexican sunflower. Other common names are cigarellas, goa bean, four-angled bean, four-cornered bean, manila bean, princess bean, asparagus pea, and dragon bean. It is a nitrogen-fixing vine with attractive flowers that attract pollinators. All parts of the plant are edible and are high in protein. The leaves, flowers, roots, and bean pods can be eaten raw or cooked. The Monstera deliciosa plant is still alive 2 months after Hurricane Ian. It isn't thriving, the leaves are damaged, but overall the plant looks healthy. I'm looking forward to when it grows new leaves again. This is my Monstera deliciosa that's pretty much growing wild out here in my food forest. It was battered pretty badly by Hurricane Ian, but it has some new growth finally. Let's check it out. It's a beautiful new leaf. You can see the old leaves pretty torn up from the hurricane. Monstera deliciosa now has 3 new leaves. This one on top, this new one down here, which is within the last couple weeks, and we've got this little one down here that's kind of tattered. I'm going to try to propagate this year because we've got a couple stalks over here going away from the main plant. I'm going to propagate those. Are you looking for a new plant to add to your food forest? A plant that attracts pollinators? A plant that's beneficial and useful? An exotic edible plant that grows just by throwing seeds down and then reseeds itself? This is the rat-tail radish plant. It's in the radish family, but instead of growing the vegetable underground, the edible part of this plant is this seed pod. I have multiple varieties in my food forest. I have a purple variety and a green variety that make these long seed pods. And then I have another green variety that makes short and fat seed pods. The pods are pretty delicious. Tastes just like a radish. Salad time. Look at all the bees. Here's a quick update on the mango tree that's blooming for the first time. I'm looking at the north side of the tree right now, and there are a lot of blooms. A couple blooms look like they might be leaf flushes mixed in with blooms. Then we get over here to the south side of the tree. There's not as much happening. A couple little buds, leaf flush, that's about it. For whatever reason, the north side of the tree is blooming and the south side is not. Maybe it's because the north side was a little bit colder when we had the cold snap and that triggered the tree to bloom. Maybe. Okay, let's do a little chop and drop, really just to make some breathing room for the mango. Can you see me? It's like a jungle in here, just how I like it. All the Mexican sunflower plants got kind of mangled from Hurricane Ian. They got kind of bent over, and I'm sure they're rooting all over the place now. So it's like the Mexican sunflower jungle, because they will root fairly easily. Give that mango some breathing space. Probably doesn't really need this nitrogen. Might have to put some palm mulch down. Palm mulch is better for... There we go. That's much better. Mango tree's got some room to breathe. Still bent over a little bit. From Ian, it'll be fine. It's time for a weekly update on the mango tree. Once again, north side is really popping with these blooms. On the south side, it's starting to pick up, and they do look like they're flowers. I wasn't sure before. Some of them might just be leaves or a combination of leaves and flowers. I noticed a flush from a distance on one of my mangoes, so I'm going to go check it out. At first glance, that looks like a leaf flush, but what are those little things down there? I think this is going to be bloom. Those might be panicles coming. Looks like a leaf flush. Hard to say with that one. But over here, look at that. I think this is it. This is the year. There, up here, and over here, down here. Same thing all over on this side. Oh yeah, it's looking good. There's the Florida King Peach again. Amazing. This is the second bloom that it's made after it lost all of its leaves to Hurricane Ian. Doesn't look as amazing as it did yesterday, but it's still a bloom. It's pretty awesome. Maybe it's because of this fire anthill down here. This patch of Okinawan spinach continues to amaze me with these gorgeous flowers. Orange, yellow, purple, pink. It's a beautiful plant with the foliage the way it is. And then you add these flowers onto it. It's a must-have in a food forest. The ground cherry's growing well. There are quite a few fruits on here now. I don't see any other plants coming up yet. Maybe it's too early. Katuk is still blooming and ripening. Something ate my jujube fruits. There were 5 right in this area. This jujube is looking good. Fruits are getting bigger. This one back here is getting some color. Maybe ripe soon. Down here, there's a broken branch. And then over here, you look very close. That's where one of the fruits was attached. I'm sure it was a deer. I don't mind sharing my harvest, but don't eat all of them. Damn. This is Lagos spinach. It's a really attractive plant. It has nice flowers and beautiful foliage. It's edible and suitable for food forest and edible landscaping in general. I'm going to be propagating this throughout the food forest from the rainy season. So I'm going to collect some seeds. It's not so easy to do with just one hand. That'll be good for starting a few plants. I'm doing my early morning walkthrough of the food forest. I came over to this neglected area that I don't walk through very often, and I noticed all of this Florida betony growing. It's a little bit too early to harvest, but I'm looking forward to it in a couple months. Found a few mystery plants in the food forest. I'm not sure if this is something I seed bombed or if this is some kind of wild Florida native. I have an idea, but I need to check it out. If you know what this is, let me know in the comments. The dwarf tamarillo is putting on some flowers. I'm still undecided about this plant. Berries are just a little bit too bitter for me, but I'll keep one around in the food forest. This colocasia didn't completely die back in wintertime, and we have a couple little babies coming up. I'll propagate this around. This mangosteen has been in the pot for almost 2 years. I'll get it in the ground this year when rainy season comes. All my passion fruit was uprooted and really messed up from Hurricane Ian, but this one's starting to grow back. Maybe get fruit next year. And these vines over here are really taking off. Should get fruit again this year. This is my story about how I beat high blood pressure. I might not even go back to the doctor. So just to summarize, Katuk for an almost instant decrease in blood pressure, hibiscus tea for a day or two relief, keto diet, low starches, low sugars, low carbs. Mix that with intermittent fasting. There's a good chance that that will work for you too. All right, out. I beat high blood pressure naturally. I no longer need medication for blood pressure. I'm a big fan of growing your own natural remedies in a garden or food forest. These are the 4 things that I did to beat high blood pressure, plus 2 bonuses at the end. I cut 90% of the carbs out of my diet. I adhere to an intermittent fasting diet where I eat within an 8-hour window every day and fast for the other 16 hours. I added hibiscus tea to my diet daily, and I eat a tropical vegetable called katuk weekly. You don't have to eat katuk specifically, just find a food that naturally lowers blood pressure and add it to your diet. The 2 bonuses are, I started this beautiful food forest and I go on walks daily, multiple times a day, including very early in the morning, like right now. We had no power or running water for 8 days after Hurricane Ian. Our road was flooded in both directions, so we were stranded here. Phone and data were spotty at best for 6 days. We learned some lessons about how prepared we were for a disaster. Lessons about power, water, food, and communication. Subscribe and click on the notification bell to learn more about these lessons when we release the full video. Happy New Year, January 1st, 2023 from the Tropicaire Homestead. First off, a big thank you to everyone who has liked, shared, viewed, subscribed, commented. It means a lot to me personally, and it's great for the channel. Thank you. The channel has grown very well in the last 2 months, thanks to you. I'm not sure I'll reach the goal of 1,000 subscribers before February 1st, 2023, but that was kind of an unrealistic goal anyway. I'm really looking forward to 2023. A big goal of mine in 2023 is to improve video quality, improve the content, make more useful and entertaining videos. I have some good ideas, but I'd like to hear from you. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to see this year. Thanks again, and may 2023 be a fruitful year for everyone. Cheers. I filmed this big bird hunting in my pond a few days ago. The way she moves is so elegant. Wait for it. I don't know who is more patient, her eyeballing her prey, or me waiting for her to move. Okay, I'll speed the video up a bit. Wait for it. Wait for it. Whoop, there it is. That was amazing. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more wildlife videos. Check the pinned comment for the longer version of this video. This is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. I pulled a piece of Kogan grass out of a mulch pile, and the Kogan grass was inside of a snake egg, eating the snake egg. Nature is really weird sometimes. What's blooming today in the food forest? Right here we have some Lagos spinach. This is acacia. This is a noni. We have sweet potatoes blooming. This is a quote-unquote weed, some type of mallow. This is also a weed, although it is edible. This is Biden's alba. This is a tiny little perennial peanut flower. This is a Mexican sunflower. The Hibiscus radiatus blooms are really starting to kick off. This is katuk. This is a cranberry hibiscus. It's technically not blooming. The cranberry hibiscus is blooming. This is the first one of the season. Rat-tailed radish is blooming. Hibiscus radiatus continues to bloom. Loquat is blooming. Baby jujubes. The dwarf amarillo is blooming and putting on berries. The African potato mint is blooming. Roselle is still blooming. This is a late bloomer. A volunteer Everglades tomato is blooming where the greenhouse used to be. Sweet potatoes are blooming all over the food. What's blooming in the food forest today? That's a bird, it's not blooming. We have the usual suspect here. Ruby hibiscus, Hibiscus radiatus. Pigeon pea is blooming. Butterfly pea is blooming. Cranberry hibiscus is blooming. Loquat is almost blooming. Rat-tailed radishes are blooming. An unidentified pink flower is blooming. There's a shampoo ginger hiding among the leaves. The 5 o'clock flower is still blooming. Mexican sunflower continues to bloom since I haven't chopped and dropped. The sherbet berry, looking beautiful. Wedelia is blooming. Blue porterweed is blooming. Katuk is blooming with those unimpressive little flowers. Tiny flowers on the Mexican sweet leaf, I think it's called. It's a sugar substitute. Butterfly pea vine is pushing out another flower. Ruby hibiscus and cranberry hibiscus are blooming. Loquat tree is blooming. Pigeon pea is blooming and ripening. Rat-tailed radish is blooming and ripening. African potato mint is almost done blooming. It's almost harvest time. Katuk is still blooming and ripening. Sweet potatoes continue to bloom. Bitter melon is blooming. It's a weed, but it's blooming. Okinawan spinach is almost ready to bloom. A spent turmeric bloom. A few remaining ginger blooms. Dwarf tamarillo, I'm going to eat that one. Cassia is blooming. Nonia continues to bloom and ripen. An Everglades tomato that I planted in the Permaculture Garden Day 2 video and ripening. Jujube fruits. Asian winged bean making pods. Loofah flowers and a loofah gourd. Here's a shampoo ginger that survived the hurricane. It's kind of messed up, but the flower is still going strong. A little juice in there still. And then right over. Subscribe and click the notification bell to follow along as we restore our food forest. We'll clean up after Hurricane Ian out here in the food forest. All I have is this tiny little electric chainsaw, but that's good enough for this little stuff. Ouch. Ouch. I'm doing a little food forest maintenance today. I'm going to clear these sweet potatoes. Then I'm going to lay down some pine and oak logs to make a path border. I'll save the sweet potato cuttings that I make and do some guerrilla gardening. Okay, I'll go pull the vines, see what we got. I'll cut this up into smaller pieces and plant it here and there. Next, I'll do some weed whacking so I can see where the edge of the food forest is. Always wear safety goggles. right, I'll go get a new battery now. Sweet potato. So finding that sweet potato makes me think that I need to go look for a few more first. Look at this. African potato mint. Got some African potato mint by accident. So I have an assortment of large branches that fell down after Hurricane Ian. I'm going to use these to make paths on the border. I'm going to try to use this large pine branch first without hurting myself or falling into the pond. It's not perfect, but this isn't landscaping. This is a food forest. You want to start a food forest, but you don't know where to begin. Maybe you're suffering from analysis paralysis. I'm going to go through the steps of how to do it. Quick and easy. Check the pinned comment for a link to a video where I go through the steps myself. Pick a small spot, 6x6, 10x10. You probably already have a spot in mind. Weed whack down to the ground. Throw some compost down on top of that. Put some cardboard on top of the compost. Lay a 6 to 12 inch layer of mulch on top of the cardboard. That's your foundation. You can expand on that. If you want to plant it right away, a good thing to do is put in some annual vegetables. It's a nice and easy way to start. You can plant more later. This is a 10 by 10 foot section. Took me about an hour. I planted annual leafy greens just to get something growing. I'll fill it in with food forest plants next summer when the planting season is better. This is how you start a food forest. You'll need a weed whacker, compost in that bucket there, cardboard, and mulch. I'm going to be converting this little area here right on the edge of my food forest. If you don't already have a food forest and you're starting from scratch, that's fine. The principle is the same. I had to put air in my tires. The cart's a lot easier to pull when there's air in the tires. Laying down the mulch is the hardest part for me. My mulch pile is 100 yards that way. I pull the cart manually for the exercise. Done. There we go. New section of the food forest. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you find out when we release day 2, the next video. I had to put air in my tires. The cart's a lot easier to pull when there's air in the tires. Laying down the mulch is the hardest part for me. My mulch pile is 100 yards that way. I pull the cart manually for the exercise. Done. This is how you start a food forest. Cardboard. Done. There we go. New section of the food forest. Using cardboard mulch to start a garden plot or a new section in the food forest is a great idea. Cardboard is great at suppressing weeds, it conserves water, and it builds soil, and it's also sustainable. So yeah, use cardboard. Done. There we go. New section of the food forest. Cardboard is great at suppressing weeds, it conserves water, and it builds soil, and it's also sustainable. So yeah, use cardboard. Done. There we go. New section of the food forest. I'll start the tour on the west side, which is the newest section. This part of the food forest is less than a year old. This is a quick walkthrough of the Tropicaire Homestead food forest. This is the shortest version of the quick walkthrough video, sped up to fit in under 60 seconds. Check the video description and pinned comment for a link to the full video. I seed bomb Pioneer plant seeds to get quick coverage. I prefer Pigeon Pea, Ruby Hibiscus, and Cranberry Hibiscus as my seed bomb Pioneer plants. I also plant longevity spinach, sweet potato, African potato mint, and Mexican sunflower to help fill in the new areas. You may notice that there is a lot of hibiscus. I love hibiscus for a variety of reasons. The oldest section of the food forest is just over 3 years old. About a third of the food forest is 1.5 to 2 years old, and close to half of the food forest is less than a year old. We started this new section of the food forest on day 1. Now it's day 2, time to plant something. I'm going to plant an annual garden because it's that time of year in Florida. I'm going to transplant some of these volunteer Everglades tomatoes and then do a seed bomb. I'll start out by digging holes for the tomato plants. When planting a tomato, you can bury it deep. It'll get more roots that way. Now comes my favorite part, seed bomb. I've got some clover, Swiss chard, perpetual spinach, Malabar spinach, sorrel, and I'm just going to broadcast some seeds and see what grows. That's going to work out well. It's time to do a little guerrilla gardening with some seed bombs. The edge of my food forest here is basically palmetto and weeds, pine trees. Hurricane Ian really cleared it out. Then when the tree service came in to remove all the downed trees, they had to make a path here, cleared it out even more. So now I have an opportunity to grow something there. So I'm going to grow 53 varieties of seeds down and see what happens within the next few months. I'll give you a quick walkthrough of what it looks like now, and then I'm going to throw some seeds down. Before Hurricane Ian, this was all overgrowth, thick palmetto, thick Kogan grass, lots of other things. I really love the chaos of this. All right, let's do this. 53 varieties of seeds. I'll put all the varieties in the description in case you're interested. Let's go. I'm sure that's what Johnny Appleseed felt like. This is a good comparison of the calyxes, the 3 different hibiscus plants that I have here. This is the ruby hibiscus calyx. Some of them get a little purplish, but not all of them. This is the cranberry hibiscus calyx. And this is the roselle hibiscus calyx, king of calyxes. You can use all 3 of them for tea, but I typically only use the roselle calyx for tea. I'll harvest the calyxes of ruby and cranberry hibiscus at the end of the year to get seeds. I typically use the seeds for guerrilla gardening, just throwing them around where I want a pioneer plant to grow. I use the flower from the ruby and cranberry hibiscus for tea. I use the calyx from the roselle hibiscus for tea. Check the pinned comment and the description for a link to our hibiscus playlist. This area right here, I just threw down some palm mulch, threw some seeds in there, some sticks and things, let it go. You can tell the palm mulch actually helped a lot. You look over here, there's almost nothing growing. And then look back in here and it's all weeds for now. The area under the oak tree is planted with plenty of ground cover, a dwarf lemon tree, Monstera deliciosa, quite a bit of hibiscus, turmeric, and ginger. And this is all right here going to expand out here and then over to my mulberry, one of my mulberries. It's more perennial peanut. I laid down the mulch and seed bombed this section in March, and then when the rainy season came in June, I just started making cuttings and sticking them in the ground like crazy. It was thriving by the end of July. Okay, this video is a tour of my food forest in the making. It's about a year old. This is the end of some mulch I've recently put down. This is going to be a subtropical experiment. I seed bombed this area with pigeon pea. I also transplanted quite a few longevity spinach and sweet potato vines. Right now we have a few banana plants, a mulberry, a red apricot, raw sapote, and a strawberry tree. Hey everybody, here's my nice little banana circle that I'm working on today. After I dig it out a little bit more, I need to level it out a little bit, put some cardboard down, throw some mulch on top of the cardboard, dig up a couple banana pups and put them in here. And right up here is my the third banana pit that I put in. We cut down a whole bunch of bird of paradise yesterday, so I put that in here to feed the bananas. This banana pit has been very productive. We've had 2 or 3 decent sized racks out of it. We lost one rack to Hurricane Ian, but it's coming back strong. There's a little star fruit. Downed pine trees in every direction.
So this big old tree just missed our starfruit. Starfruit actually, I've read that they're very susceptible to wind, but I haven't touched this one. It seems just fine. I would like it to fruit soon.
This starfruit is a survivor. Ian knocked down 2 pine trees within feet on both sides.
Number 5, African potato mint. This plant makes a great summer ground cover. It comes up when the temperature gets warmer, June timeframe. It spreads fairly easily. This is yet another plant where you just make a cutting and stick it in the ground and it grows. It does die back, as you can see here. It's almost January. This little patch is ready to be harvested. It makes tubers under the ground. You eat the tubers just like you would a potato. You can actually see a couple of the potatoes. Plant number 7 is Monstera deliciosa. This is a well-known houseplant. Trace these large leaves. It's very tropical looking. You can grow this outside in warmer climates. It likes to have shade and a decent amount of rain. A lot of people don't know that Monstera deliciosa actually will create a fruit. Kind of looks like a dinosaur banana with scales. The fruit has a pineapple banana taste. It's a gorgeous plant. It can be a centerpiece specimen underneath a tree. Are you thinking about adding edible plants to your landscape, but you don't want a full-blown food forest? These are my top 9 food forest plants that are suitable for an edible, ornamental landscape. Each one of these plants is edible and or medicinal, attractive, easy to grow, and easy to propagate. So let's get into it. Plant number 1 is hibiscus. This is my top choice. The rest are in no particular order. Hibiscus is a plant that you probably already have in your landscape. Hibiscus has beautiful flowers. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of different varieties. Annuals, perennials. Hibiscus will add color, attract pollinators,
Hibiscus is easy to propagate with seed. The 3 varieties that I have readily self-seed. Not only is hibiscus edible, it's also medicinal. It's great for high blood pressure, insulin resistance. It's just a great all-around edible and medicinal plant. Plant number 2 is Okinawan Spinach. It's a gorgeous dark green and it has burgundy tints to it. It's very nutritious, even medicinal. It has these orange flowers that are also edible. Generally, you eat the leaves raw in a salad. It has these gorgeous leaves that are purple and dark green. It'll be a great contrast to the typical greenery. Grows well in hot environments, does okay in sun, and decent in almost full shade. It's very easy to propagate. You literally make a cutting and stick it in the ground. In the rainy season, Okinawan spinach will grow a couple feet tall. It tends to bunch together. It's a very attractive plant. Butterfly pea makes these beautiful blue flowers. The flowers make a blue tea. You can change the color to purple by adding an acidic ingredient like lemon juice. You can also change the color to green by adding an alkaline ingredient. I prefer saffron because it has a natural yellow color and it makes the green even brighter. Plant number 4 is katuk. It grows 6 to 8 feet tall. It's extremely easy to propagate. This is another plant where you take a cutting and stick it in the ground and it grows, especially in the rainy season. The leaves and the berries are edible. Actually, the flowers are edible too, but they're very tiny. Katuk is highly nutritious and it even contains protein. There aren't very many plants that actually have protein. Katuk is one of them. Katuk is highly medicinal. It's great for high blood pressure. I personally use this plant to keep myself off of blood pressure medication. You can see this specimen is still growing. It's almost January, Florida 9B. I'll show you what the berries look like. These are some of the berries. They taste a little bit like a peanut. As they get older, they have seeds in them. The seeds are fairly small when the berries are young, but you can still eat the seeds too. Plant number 6. I'm going to group ginger and turmeric together. Plants look very similar. They're related. Both plants create a medicinal and edible tuber, and they both create gorgeous flowers. They typically like some shade. They both have gorgeous foliage. They create gorgeous flowers. They make edible and medicinal tubers that you can harvest, and they're easy to propagate with the tubers. Are you thinking about adding edible plants to your landscape, but you don't want a full-blown food forest? These are my top 9 food forest plants that are suitable for an edible ornamental landscape. Each one of these plants is edible and or medicinal, attractive, easy to grow, and easy to propagate. So let's get into it. Plant number 1 is hibiscus. This is my top choice. The rest are in no particular order. Plant number 2 is Okinawan spinach. Plant number 3 is longevity spinach. Plant number 4 is katuk. Number 5, African potato mint. Plant number 6, I'm going to group ginger and turmeric together. Plant number 7 is Monstera deliciosa. Plant number 8 is elephant ear, specifically the colocasia varieties. Alocasia is not edible, colocasia is edible. Plant number 9 is butterfly pea. The bonus plant, perennial peanut. Plant number 3 is longevity spinach. It's a cousin to the Okinawan spinach. Spreads a little faster. It's a little bit easier to propagate. It's highly nutritious and medicinal. It makes a great ground cover. It has bright green leaves that really pop in the landscape. It grows great in the rainy season here in Florida 9B. It gets a little bit thin in the wintertime. It's a perennial. It does grow all year, but it's much slower in the wintertime. Cranberry hibiscus with its purple leaves is a great contrast to all the greenery. Cranberry hibiscus has beautiful pink flowers and has gorgeous burgundy calyxes. You can eat the leaves, calyxes, and flowers raw in salads, or you can make tea from any of them. My next top choice of hibiscus is Roselle hibiscus. It makes gorgeous small white flowers, relatively small compared to other hibiscuses. It has greenish leaves with burgundy tint. It has very large reddish burgundy calyxes that are typically used in tea. You can also make jam. And of course the flower and leaf are also edible. The third variety of hibiscus that I grow is ruby hibiscus. It makes a large purple flower, has green leaves. I use the flower to make tea, and I also use that tea to make hibiscus kombucha. Plant number 8 is elephant ear, specifically the colocasia varieties. Alocasia is not edible, colocasia is edible. The tubers that grow under the ground are edible. There are hundreds of varieties of colocasia, different sizes, different colors. It's another specimen plant. It does best in at least partial shade, and it does like water. You can grow this in a bog or pond environment. It doesn't have to be a bog or pond environment, but it will do good in that environment. Are you thinking about adding edible plants to your landscape, or maybe starting an edible landscape? And you want plants that are both edible and ornamental? Edible plants with beautiful flowers. Sleepy hibiscus or dwarf mallow. This one has several different names. It makes these gorgeous red flowers. The leaves and the flower petals are edible. Are you thinking about adding edible plants to your landscape, or maybe starting an edible landscape? And you want plants that are both edible and ornamental? Edible plants with beautiful flowers. Lagos spinach. The leaves on the Lagos spinach plant are edible. Okinawan spinach. This is one of my favorite ground covers in the food forest. Sleepy hibiscus or dwarf mallow. This one has several different names. It makes these gorgeous red flowers. The leaves and the flower petals are edible. I'm going to group ginger and turmeric together. Plants look very similar. They're related. Both plants create a medicinal and edible tuber. Butterfly pea makes these beautiful blue flowers. The flowers make a blue tea. You can change the color to purple. You can also change the color to green. Cranberry hibiscus with its purple leaves is a great contrast to all the greenery. Roselle hibiscus makes gorgeous small white flowers, relatively small compared to other hibiscuses. Ruby hibiscus makes a large purple flower, has green leaves. I use the flower to make tea. Edible plants with beautiful flowers. Cranberry hibiscus with its purple leaves is a great contrast to all the greenery. Cranberry hibiscus has beautiful pink flowers and has gorgeous burgundy calyxes. Lagos spinach. The leaves on the Lagos spinach plant are edible. It has really gorgeous flowers. This is a somewhat new plant to me. This is what the plant looks like in early January in Florida 9B. As you can see, the foliage has died back this time of year. The flowers are still there. Edible plants with beautiful flowers. Ruby hibiscus makes a large purple flower, has green leaves. I use the flower to make tea, and I also use that tea to make hibiscus kombucha. Edible plants with beautiful flowers. I'm going to group ginger and turmeric together. Plants look very similar. They're related. Both plants create a medicinal and edible tuber, and they both create gorgeous flowers. They typically like some shade. They both have gorgeous foliage. They create gorgeous flowers. They make edible and medicinal tubers that you can harvest, and they're easy to propagate with the tubers. Edible plants with beautiful flowers. Okinawan spinach. This is one of my favorite ground covers in the food forest. The leaves of Okinawan spinach are edible, in addition to its gorgeous leaves, which are a dark green with burgundy tints, purple on the back. It makes multicolored flowers. Here you can see a couple purple ones. It's January, so they're dying out a little bit. There's another purple one. It also makes orange and more reddish flowers. In the summertime, late fall, they look absolutely beautiful. Edible plants with beautiful flowers. Roselle hibiscus makes gorgeous small white flowers, relatively small compared to other hibiscuses. It has greenish leaves with burgundy tint. It has very large reddish burgundy calyxes that are typically used in tea. I've been procrastinating with this guy. So it bent over a little bit after Hurricane Ian. Now it has all these suckers. I'm going to take most of these off and propagate them. So I'm going to keep a couple of these. I'm not sure which ones yet. I think maybe this one. That way, that way, that way. I'll take all of these ones down here. "16 potential new loquat trees, most likely for barter." Just going to repurpose this pot here, and I'm not going to do anything special because loquats seem to root fairly easy. I've had no problem getting loquats to root this way. It's not going to work for every plant, obviously, but it works for loquats. This might be a little tight, but not every one of these is going to take root. Some of them will. Get enough to start quite a few pots in a greenhouse. They'll come up in May, June time frame, a little earlier in the greenhouse than they would if they were out here. And I can start making cuttings right away, give them away and sell them, use them for barter. To start those potatoes in a pot is pretty easy. Just put a bunch in a pot like that, some soil over it, keep them dry. Then when the temperature starts warming up a little bit, put them in a
warm place like a greenhouse or something, and they'll sprout earlier than the ones outside. Then you can start making cuttings, propagating to get a head start. Back over here by the seed bomb Daniel garden, got a cassia tree. It makes really nice looking yellow flowers, adds nitrogen to the soil. I'm going to harvest these seed pods for use later. They crumble pretty easily. Have to be careful. I'm going to try a different method. So for this cassia, I'm just going to go like this. Just going to cut it off and take the whole thing. And then maybe do a little pruning here. Most of these branches are dead. We'll see how that does. The bigger ones will get twice the size, at least twice the size of this. See, there's bigger ones. Might get, the biggest one I've seen is just a little bit bigger than this. When I'm preparing these in the kitchen, I scrub them down with a brush really well to get all the dirt off. And when you're doing that, you'll notice that the skin comes right off. We cook them just like we do potatoes. Found that when you boil them, it works a little bit better, although they taste a little bit more watered down compared to a regular potato. And we found if you bake them, it takes longer, like almost twice as long to bake them as a regular potato. The taste is similar to a regular potato. Seems to be maybe a little sweeter. Of course, that could depend on the recipe also. Plant once, grow forever. That's what I'm talking about. This is where this machete comes in handy. So I can literally start a new food forest with that. Might as well do a little bit of guerrilla gardening with this katuk that I just chopped. Got this whole area at the edge of my property that was kind of cleared out by Hurricane Ian. There's an opportunity to plant some things in here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but if I can just put some plants down really quick and easy and they grow, that'll be great. I want to make smaller pieces. So to do that, let's just go like this. Saves a little time. Okay, these are the cuttings that I just chopped up. I'm literally going to walk for about 40 feet, and every few feet just plunk one of these cuttings into the ground. In the rainy season, it's no problem. It's January, so not every one of them is going to grow. Stick it in the ground, stick it in the ground, stick it in the ground, and just repeat that all the way down. So some of that's going to grow, some of it isn't, but it's well worth the time invested of 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I'm going to be harvesting some of this rat-tailed radish today. I've been eating off of this for a couple months now. And well, it just really produces more than we can even use. So I'm going to harvest a big bucket of this and try to pickle some of it. You can also see right back here starting to flower again. So we're going to have more and more of this probably through half of the summer. I'll leave a lot of these older pods on here, or maybe even break them off and just throw them around. This will help the plant self-seed, so we'll have this perpetually. We also have some of the rat-tailed radish that is drying out. I'll harvest that for seeds. Okay, this is where I just guerrilla planted the chaya and the katuk. Give you a little quick tour of that because there are some plants growing from the seed bombing that I did a few months ago. But chaya, it's like brassica of some kind or maybe a radish. Lots more little radishes or brassicas, chaya, cool weather brassica or radish all over in here. I also threw down a lot of seeds that won't germinate until it gets warm. A lot of hibiscus and things like that. A couple katuk plants, katuk, chaya, katuk. I think that's about as far as I went. So once again, this isn't going to be 100%. I just did it dirty and fast. That's good enough because this isn't actually part of my food forest, at least not yet. This is an area that's traditionally just way overgrown. It borders the canal on my property. So this is just an opportunity to take back a little bit of land. It was just weeds and jungle. We've got this chaya here. Chaya It's a very good food forest plant. It's highly nutritious, very dense in vitamins and minerals. It has a good amount of complete dietary protein. That's for you people that leave comments that all plants have protein. Yeah, all plants have protein, but they don't have complete dietary protein. This is one of the plants that does. So this guy got knocked down by Ian. It's already growing back over there, and I haven't propped it back up yet. So I'm just going to make some propagation material really quick and easy. Boom. Just every 4 or 5 feet. With this one, I'm going to stick it in the ground. You don't need to see that. You got the idea. And I just noticed over here, looks like an eggplant blooming. That might become perennial in this spot. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, we're right under the oak tree. I want some ginger. Plant it over here. Take the one with the root. Stick it right down in there. And hey, why not? Let's put that turmeric right here. There we go. Under the big oak tree, we have some turmeric. It didn't come right up. All right, looks like I'm gonna need both hands for this. Geez, this is the biggest one I've seen yet. A couple little pieces. I'll leave these little guys here. I'll leave that here too. Let's get this big chunk. All right, look at that. Okay. I'll take these to the kitchen to use. This one I'm going to replant. These other little guys I'll leave right here. Let's make sure they're covered up well. Okay, let's see what we have here. The ginger. That was barely even attached. Might even find some sweet potatoes in here. Get rid of this Kogan grass while we're at it. Here we go. This is a big one. Wow. Look at that. It's a pretty good piece of ginger. Take this for the kitchen. I'll replant this right here. And I'll propagate this piece somewhere else. Growing your own fresh organic food is good for the body, mind, and soul. African potato mint, carrots, Everglades tomatoes, eggplant, a few different kinds of radishes, cauliflower, leafy green, mustard greens, kale. Get out there and do it. You can do it too. You can grow an annual vegetable garden inside of your food forest. Make it a food forest garden. I've had success throwing down seeds when I start a new section, new area of the food forest. You could have even better success if you planted out, started your seeds early, and planted directly in the soil. An added benefit is that you're conditioning the soil. You're adding sugars, the beneficial bacteria and fungus is growing. So if you decide to put perennials here, the soil is going to be much, much better than if you
hadn't planted anything.
Plant annuals in your food forest to create a food forest garden. Even cauliflower, like this purple variety. You can grow tomatoes in your food forest garden. Few of the plants in the forest garden are going to seed, which is good. I'm going to save those seeds. I seed bombed this area and these guys grew. So this is good genetics for what I'm trying to do. Plant number 2 is moringa. It's February, so there's not much growth happening here. Fresh moringa leaves contain 6.7 grams of protein. If you dry those into a powder, it'll be much more concentrated, 27.1 grams of protein. That's more than a steak. Moringa is a great food forest tree. It's easy to grow, easy to propagate. May not be attractive as an edible landscape plant, however. Plant number 4 is chaya. Chaya contains 5.7 grams of protein per 100 grams of leaf. You have to boil the chaya leaves before you can eat them. Plant number 5 is longevity spinach. It contains about 4.5 grams of protein per 100 grams of leaf. Very attractive plant. This could easily be a ground cover in an edible landscape. I have it planted all over in my food forest. It's easy to propagate, fast growing, spreads very quickly. Longevity spinach is also used medicinally for a variety of ailments. And last but not least, well, kind of least, plant number 6 on my list is Okinawan spinach. It's mixed here with some longevity spinach. The Okinawan spinach has the darker leaves with purple. Okinawan spinach contains approximately 4.5 grams of protein per 100 grams of leaves. This is another plant that could easily be used in an edible landscape. And Okinawan spinach is also used medicinally. Egg shortage. I'm not eating crickets. I'm not eating worms either. So let's get into it. This is my list of high protein food forest crops. Plant number 1, pigeon pea. Peas in these immature pods contain approximately 7.2 grams of protein per 100 grams. And these dried beans contain a whopping 21.7 grams of protein. Plant number 2 is moringa. Fresh moringa leaves contain 6.7 grams of protein. If you dry those into powder, 27.1 grams of protein. Plant number 3 is katuk. The fresh leaves contain about 6.4 grams of protein. Plant number 4 is chaya. Chaya contains 5.7 grams of protein. Plant number 5 is longevity spinach. It contains about 4.5 grams of protein. Plant number 6 on my list is Okinawan spinach. Okinawan spinach contains approximately 4.5 grams protein. Plant number 3 is katuk. The fresh leaves contain about 6.4 grams of protein per 100 grams of leaves. I couldn't find an estimate of protein based on dry leaves like I could the moringa. Katuk is a great food forest plant, and in my opinion, it's attractive enough that it could be used in an edible landscape as well. Plant number 1, pigeon pea. Peas in these immature pods, the green peas that you can eat raw, contain approximately 7.2 grams of protein per 100 grams. And these dried beans that you would have to cook contain a whopping 21.7 grams of protein per 100 grams of beans. That's almost as much as a steak. It's probably not attractive as an edible landscape plant, but it's a great food forest plant. It's a mystery plant. We'll figure this out. Here's a canistel, sapote, Puteria campaniana. I'm sure I'm butchering that. It's another yellow buttercup. Oh, this one even has a flower on it already.
I'm not sure how to pronounce this. I think it's Aki. It's an Aki tree. Ligia sapida. I'm so excited. It's like Christmas on the homestead. I got some plants to unbox, but I don't remember what's in there. I just remember that it was 60% off. Fried egg tree. Oncoba spinosa. I remember this one. It has big flowers that look like fried eggs. I really like the way they pack. These plants are not going anywhere. It's a mystery plant. We'll figure this out. Yellow buttercup, Turnera omofolia sundrop, rare, fragrant, and fruiting plant. And this is the same as the mystery plant before. So what is it? Oh, wait a minute. No, it isn't. Is it? No, I don't think so. I'll get back to that mystery plant. This is a blackberry jam fruit. Fried egg tree. Oncoba spinosa. I remember this one. It has big flowers that look like fried eggs. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. I think it's Aki. It's an Aki tree. Ligia sapida. Here's a canistel. Sapote. Puteria campachana. I'm sure I'm butchering that. It's another yellow buttercup. Oh, this one even has a flower on it already. And this is the same as the mystery plant before. So what is it? Oh, wait a minute. No, it isn't. Is it? No, I don't think so. I'll get back to that mystery plant. This is a blackberry jam fruit. Put a little bit of the soil on the bottom. Try not to disturb the roots too much, but it's already kind of late. I'll get a little bit of the mulch. Done. Now just repeat that process. That was fantastic. Unboxing plants is one of my favorite things to do. I'm not sure where these guys are going yet. I have some ideas. Stay tuned for a future video when I plant these guys. So Mrs. Tropicaire said that if I want to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers before February 1st, I need to be more presentable. So here we are, do-it-yourself homestead makeover. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now for the face. All right, there we go. That's about as presentable as I can be. Yep. Happy Homestead Friday. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's kind of orange out here today. We've got a little rain in January, which is kind of good, and a beautiful rainbow. TGIF. Cheers. Out. So there's really no privacy here anymore. I need a quick, easy, and inexpensive solution to get some privacy back. I'll chop a few of these Mexican sunflower stalks so that I can plant them. I laid out the Mexican sunflower stalks so I can see about how far I have to dig. So I'll take this old hoe, just make a nice, quick little trench, and bury those Mexican sunflower stalks. So it's nothing fancy, no calculations, just a small little 30 to 40 foot hole, and lay down these Mexican sunflower stalks. Now to cover them up. Step on the stalk, pull some dirt in. You don't have to be delicate with these things. All right, there we go. It's done. It's not fancy. The stalks are still visible in some spots, but if we get just one rain, this will start rooting all along this 30 to 45 feet. We'll have a full hedge by the end of the rainy season. Keep it quick and easy and inexpensive. There's Oscar, the homestead dog. Probably wondering what's taking so long. He wants to go back inside. Hey Oscar, how you doing? There are a lot of lessons you have to learn in trying to get a homestead up and running. Some are way more obvious than others. Some you probably learn when you're young. Some just come natural. Well, I've got one lesson for you today. It's important. It's going to save you pain. And the lesson is, if you're going to pee on a fire ant mound, make sure you're standing far enough away so that the fire ants can't find your feet. That'll save you some pain. Out. This spot here is a good example of planting the wrong plant in the wrong place. Specifically for me, this has to do with planting in areas that are prone to standing water or flooding. I've learned that papaya plants will fall over when the ground is too moist. Avocado trees don't like wet feet and they will just die. I've given up on avocados for now, but papayas are thriving in the right spot. I hope this was helpful, but let me stress again, the most important thing to remember is that making mistakes is part of the learning process. The biggest mistake is not even trying in the first place. This area behind me is the oldest part of the food forest. It's full of mistakes. The biggest mistake that is still present is plant spacing. I was really bad at plant spacing when I first started. In the background of this shot, there's a loquat tree, a banana circle, a lychee tree, and a soursop tree, all with spacing that is way too tight. In the foreground, there's a Barbados cherry and a Suriname cherry tree within feet of each other. This may not look bad now, but it will be a problem as the plants get larger. I still make this mistake from time to time, but I'm aware of the mistake now. I just wanted a more dense and lush forest ecosystem. Most of the trees in my food forest are still young and small, so it is more difficult to visualize plant spacing. I think a good rule of thumb is to give trees 10 to 20 feet of distance between them, depending on the tree and how dense you want the food forest. I know some of you are thinking, that's crazy to do the seed bomb. Why do you need chaos in your garden? Well, I do it all over the place and it works very well here in Florida anyway. This section behind me, I started that in March, created the new section of the food forest with cardboard and mulch, and then I didn't plant anything in there except for the seed bombs I threw down. Now it's huge and lush. I did the same thing right over here, threw some seeds down, mustard seeds, some kale, and I believe cabbage, and that rat tail radish. So little tip, when you're using a knife to cut tape, open a box, make sure that you always have the knife blade pointed away from you, like that. Don't do something like this. Do it like that.
The reason why should be obvious. Remember, cut away from your body so you don't stab yourself. Cut away from the body